Peace, prosperity, and praise, good people. It's your girl, Diamond Elizabeth, and I am back here with you all at our virtual meeting place, and I'm very happy to be here. I want to start off with updating you guys about my life. The last time we talked, I got married. Yes, my now husband and I decided to get married. And I also celebrated a birthday. I'm now 28. So I'm feeling very grown woman, y'all. I'm feeling very mature, feeling very demure, okay? Not really demure, but just happy. And just proud of myself and in a really just celebratory mood. And so I wanted to share that with you all. Welcome back to the channel. So today's conversation is going to be about what exactly happens in the dance space. And I want to first start by acknowledging my teachers, okay? I have had the pleasure to train under some really important, really powerful, really dynamic artists. And I wouldn't be here today without the dedication and devotion and compassion, patience, and just love that my teachers shared with me from a young age. I started dance when I was 3 and haven't stopped. And I really can say that my teachers prepared me well. The places that I trained, the people that were attracted to those spaces were committed to sharing their passion for dance and their love for dance with me and my peers. And that kind of urgency for the craft is what has been imprinted on me. Even as I move away or attempt to move away from more codified technique into something different altogether, I am reminded and continuously inspired by the tradition and continuously desiring the tools to fine-tune the dance space to support my needs and the needs of my clients, the needs of you all, the needs of dancers or people interested in dance who come to passion projects for the people to kind of have this spiritual experience. I want to use the tools from more traditional dance spaces to support them. And I acknowledge my teachers. I want to shout out to educators in general, teachers, teaching artists. I know that it can be really tough out here as a teaching artist, you know, wanting to work on your craft, but having to handle life and handle bills and having to find a balance between like sacrificing your personal time that is so crucial as an artist, you know, that quiet time where you just sit and allow new ideas to seed. When you have to sacrifice that time and pour into something else, pour into another person's artistry, there is, you find yourself meeting challenges. And so I want to acknowledge those teaching artists who might be going through whatever. Today might have been a great day, maybe it wasn't, but I want to shine a light on those artists who are also pouring into others while trying to maintain their sense of ingenuity in their own craft. So I'm going to start with that and then talk a little bit about what is it that I'm doing. You know, so I have a course that's called Spiritual Healing with Modern Dance. And its history really comes from, you know, as I shared before, wanting to merge this intuitive knowing, this curiosity in connection with the spirit and the body. And how do we massage that, expand that, and then let it inspire us in our everyday life? How can dance transform us spiritually. And it's not a new thing. You know, our ancestors have been doing this kind of work before time was even counted. I feel that the original people of this planet were using dance and using music, using sound as a way to communicate with each other and also with the beyond. And so what spiritual healing with modern dance attempts to do is to remind people of that history, is to remind people of those technologies, those pathways for communication and for elevation. And you know, I feel that the body, you know, is a portal space. And the more that you practice connection with the divine, the more that you open your heart and you open your mind and you open your guts to the this transaction between effort and witness. When you kind of use the body as a motor, as an engine to spark a conversation on a higher level, tapping into a different frequency, tapping into a different wavelength, more than you would in your everyday daily routine. All right, so spiritual healing with modern dance is an opportunity to do that. It's combining physical fitness with dance, music, rhythm, and weight change, and body awareness, kinesthetic awareness, with a desire to connect with the divine. And in the connection with the divine is so that we share more love. The connection of the divine is important because then it becomes an eternal love mirror. It's a bubble of light. This connection with the divine opens up more love within yourself, and that capacity for greater love changes your community, it changes your home, it changes your family, it changes the world. So, but what, you know, that sounds great, Jaimin, but you might be saying, but what does that look like? You know, how do I experience this love, this expanding love through dance, movement, and witness? And so I would say this, the class, it starts with a prompt. And the prompt may be, for example, I'll give you an example. So when we begin standing and we attempt to cleanse the axial skeleton. And the axial skeleton being the space in which the chakras take up space on the body. The chakras are stacked on the spinal cord. And so we connect with the head chakra, the higher plane, and move and warm up this space. And so this is a warm up and also a meditation. It's two at the same time. And so we're warming up the spine by way of the chakras. And so we start with the head because that's just what I'm feeling. And so, you know, we'll be chatting in class and we'll talk and I'll get a feel for where we need to start. Maybe it's the feet, maybe it's the pelvis, but we're starting with the chakras in this prompt. And so we go to the head and then we work our way down to the third eye and into the throat. And yes, I'm there going all for you guys because I want you to see, I want you to have a visual, because I'm a visual learner and I feel that it would be helpful for you to understand what's happening. And so we start at the head and we keep working our way down until we get into the pelvis area. And then you feel, you know, we've addressed the axial skeleton. Then there's the issue of the appendicular, the limbs. How do we address that? And so then there is these waves. And then I start bringing in elements, water. So we've now moved from the initial warm up of the spine from the chakras as an initial kind of meditation, into now we're moving into larger movement. We're going into the appendicular, we're going into the limbs, into movement away from the trunk, and we're bringing in the elements. And so it's water-based. And so you see how the water comes from, now we're going from the bottom up. It goes from the feet and then into the arms and legs. And exploring this wave. And all of this is I'm speaking to you as we explore this, and we have breaks and pauses, but this is the flow. We go from this warm up of the spine into the limbs, using water as the premise, as the drive. And from the water of the limbs, this movement of the limbs, it goes into Yeah. How do we jump? How do we go into, because once you start playing, you'll notice once you start listening, you start playing, then your body then shifts into command, and it wants to take on. You start moving intuitively from your body and not your mind. Then you start to notice the hierarchy in within yourself, how you identify, how you act on impulse, the way that you respond to environmental cues. There's a shift that occurs, and you can see it. People start to light up. There's a quiet curiosity that starts to then expand, and it inspires movement. And so we go with it. We go with the flow, because again, we're using the body as a means to communicate and expand into more love. And so the more that you allow yourself to explore and listen and follow the body's impulse, the deeper your sense of connection with the divine goes. And then we start jumping. We start figuring out how do we, so I want to fly. I want to come off the ground. I want to jump, but my ankles are like, girl, no. And so how do we jump with the knees? How do we jump through space without leaving the floor? That's a question that I ask and that we explore. How would you, in your body, jump through space without leaving the floor? And boom, then it starts happening. And then you start like feeling these different things. And so for the sake, in this example, from the water flow, from the expansion, from the jumping, it goes into now a container. And so now we pull from the resources that we've just built, clearing, connection of the spine, integration of the limbs, deepening of intuition and connection with our own sense of self, our higher self and the divine, the creator within, the creatrix within. Now we do a combination because it's fun, okay? Because it's fun, we use the awareness of the chakras, then combined with the flow and momentum of water, and then we put it together in a sequence. In the sequence I designed, and I could see another version of this class where we design it together as a collective. We put, like how the actors have that game where every person gives one word and you build a story. We put one move and we build a phrase. And that is communal healing. That is group healing, when everybody's movement is accepted and then repeated to rhythm, to song, and with the group, there is a cleansing of the spirit that happens. So that is the flow. This is an example of a combination, and that is the way that the class goes. That is spiritual healing with modern dance. And so sound, I want to touch on the things that kind of the things that kind of become foundational for the class. And that is sound. I need to take a sip, honey. So sound, in the beginning, there was the word. Before there is language, there is sound. Before there is the comprehension and kind of digestion of words, there is the vibration, the hum. And so I love music. This is one of my biggest inspirations. And I think that sound is kind of like the reason, is a big thing that I'm curious about. As an artist, I'm very curious about the use of sound. And so that is a big thing for me. Like playlists are a big thing, in different music from different places, different times. Just like the sound is kind of like a fascia for the body of the class. And speaking of bodies, I think that my class format is suitable for professional artists who have like experience training who understand codified technique, who know, their body's, extent, their furthest extent to which their body can go. I think this kind of class is really healing for dancers, because we spend so much time playing someone else's vision. And so, dancers of a certain age get to a point in their career where it's hard to then improv, or it's hard to be in your own body and move freely, naturally, without feeling like you're tapping into someone else's choreographic imprint, or tapping into the way that you used to do things at your old ballet school, or whatever the case is, whether you're doing fortifications over and over again because you're not necessarily in tune with your own creative genius. I think spiritual healing with modern dance is essential for those kinds of artists, because it reminds you of your joy for dance without profit. And so I think is really key for that. But I'm really curious to see how this kind of format affects people who didn't spend hundreds of dollars on tuition and didn't have access to the spaces and the tools that we used as dancers. They didn't go to the studio. They don't have training per se. People who just like to dance and like to dance to music and are brave and are just like down to move. I'm really curious to see how this is for people like that. And I've had the opportunity to work with different institutions like Common Good, City Farm. I was able to do an ecstatic dance workshop there. And I also worked with women during my sistership circles. I would do like movement exercises and have movement workshops with the sisters who aren't necessarily dancers, but who want to explore their bodies in this context. But like, what does this look like for seniors or expecting parents? What does this look like for young girls or young men, young boys? So I'm curious. I want to kind of distance it from a super like almost elitist circle. Like, to be able to have dance training, there's a certain access to wealth that you have to have. And even if you don't have, and even if you do have the wealth, but not necessarily the exposure, then you're like kept out of certain dance things. And please leave a comment below if you know what I'm talking about. Like, please interact with this statement that I'm making about like dance for dance's sake and then dance for consumption, and who's allowed to do what. Because what dance company is bringing in people who don't have formal training to perform and to tour with them internationally? Not one. You might have companies like Bill T. Jones and Arnie Zane Company who bring in everyday people who might have a dance background and who might not, but it's a very like special and rare case. But your prestigious institutions for dance performance, they are not just doing shuffle ball kick change. That's not happening. And so for people who only dance as social dance, and so of course there are social dances that are technique and have a long steep history, but I'm talking about your two-step shuffle. I'm talking about auntie who loves to do the hip twist and do the fan. Where them fans at, people? I want them in the class, and I want to see how spiritual healing with modern dance, this like deep, this widening the sense of love and compassion and connection with the divine through the body as the engine. How does that? I'm a scientist. I want to know, how does that affect auntie? How does that affect uncle? How does that affect brother or sister? So I'm very curious about that. Like, I think the impetus for this work in general is about like collective elevation and collective just like healing. I keep saying that word because it's true. I think we have inherited a lot of pain, and this time that we're in is intense. This is an intense time. Whew. And when the world tries to steal your light, to steal your joy, your body becomes your safe haven. Your own skin sometimes is used as a weapon against you, but when you can freak it, and when you can own it, and when you are empowered within yourself, you are capable of great things. The only person that no, I'm not going to say that, but I just think that, returning to our ancestral wealth, returning to the well of knowledge and wisdom and abundance that is within the body, to unlock that through dance in a collective space with intentional sound and good vibes, I think really is medicine. And so I am aware, though, that sometimes people are just like, oh, well, I love that. I'm into what you're saying, and I really want to be there, but I simply just don't know what to do. Like, my bag of tricks is the two-step and the two-step only. So, I hear you. I feel you. And I say to you, book a private lesson, okay? It is possible to still learn codified technique. It is possible to still learn about placement and learn about weight shift and change and level change and how to be safe through these transitions. You can learn those things with me. Like, I will tutor you in modern or in ballet. Not tap, though. I'm done with tap. I can't teach tap no more. Don't hit me, Miss Jamie. My tap teacher is like, chiming. No. But yeah, private lessons with me are a thing. Also, private lessons and spiritual healing with modern dance is a thing. Like, if you really do want to get into this flow state with your creative genius, but you're not comfortable doing it in front of other people, come get this healing and book a private session. Yes. Okay, and please come out and take a class. You don't know what you don't know. I know I got some family members right now that are sitting here watching this, and they're thinking about 2 or 3 people who would love this, but you don't know if it's their thing. And listen, you don't know if the class is for you if you don't come out. So I encourage you guys to come to class. And you can find all that information on my website, and I'll put it in the link below. I love saying that because now I'm on YouTube, so I'm like, just check the comments below. Yeah, so you can check there, and I'll put the link to my class, and you show up, and you just try, I'm about to hop off here. And I want you guys to like this video. I want you guys to share it. I want you to subscribe to my channel. I think it helps. It definitely, if it expands community and connection, and each one teach one. It might not be for you, but when you share, you subscribe, and you increase the visibility on this content, then it reaches the people that it needs to. The people that it needs to reach, I know you are out there. I know we are looking for each other, Soul Tribe, and we are coming together quickly more than ever now. And we are the medicine. We are the medicine. This kind of medicine you don't need to go to the store and buy. It's not in no pill. And yes, it can be as simple as sitting out in the sun and soaking up the vitamins and the neutrons and the neutrinos and all of that good stuff. But this kind of, engagement of the heart. And I mean that what I mean by that is, first of all, raising the heart rate. So getting it to act, getting it to move and respond. It creates a certain rhythm in your body. It creates a certain sense of confidence. And so engage the heart in that way. And then also the willingness and the bravery to allow the body to then inspire you to move, to take risks, to be seen taking risks. That's a kind of healing that is priceless. So I love you all. I thank y'all so much for tuning in with me and checking in with me and loving me and liking and subscribing and sharing. And I'll see you all next time. Peace.